So I want to kind of go back to, what does scale mean, and kind of echo what the two of you were saying, is that at the Clark Foundation, we tend to look at it as potential to really solve a social problem. And I always think of the Nurse Family Partnership as a really good example. So they have a very targeted population that they serve. They serve first-time low-income moms. And there's about 650,000 of those individuals every year in this country. And by the end of NFP's growth plan, they project they'll be serving 100,000 of those moms. So now they'll be making, a significant dent into that problem. So that's kind of how we think of scale typically, and what our ultimate goal is in all of this work. And then, echoing off of some of John's comments, is that, growing is really hard. And I think our work with the syndication work really grew out of, here are these really great organizations that actually really are ready. They really are at that mezzanine level, and there's lots of challenges and lots of things to lots of hurdles to get over, but they're ready, and how do we help them get there? And some of the things that we look at when you're talking about are they ready, for us it really is the provenness of the model, because why are you going to scale something up to 100,000 people if you don't know it works? And for us, what proven means is random control trial evaluation, which we all know is really hard to do, and you get lots of evaluators talking, and there's lots of debate, and it can be very, very complicated. But we also do look at the quasi-experimental studies too, and one of our organizations has that too. So, but just a good level of confidence that the intervention really works. And then financial sustainability, which is really hard to think about generally, but I think that we really want to help nonprofits get to, and that's a whole deep topic to even go into, so I'll just kind of state that there, but that's another kind of leg of the triangle that we think of when we look at, is an organization ready to scale up? And then the other, of course, is just the leadership and the organizational strength. Do they have the capacity and the systems and the people to monitor that quality and to really launch and scale up? And that's a lot of where we really partner and really think where we can add a lot of value there as well. So.
Iris, you want to say something?
Yeah, I agree in general growth is hard, and I think there's so many unintended consequences of growth, even at Teach for America, that I think does it so enormously well. So I think I agree with the basic point. I will say that in some ways growth, both the process of growth and the end game when you're a lot bigger, make the job easier. It's interesting. I think my experience in New York, going from 2 million to 10 and 200 teachers to 1,000, and staff of 3 people to 70, or to 65. I think we were able to do it because we actually needed to attract a whole different level of talent, board member, and to do that and we had to get the attention of Joe Klein and Mayor Bloomberg. And it's almost harder to incrementally, or just kind of sort of Peter putts along for a little bit, than to have a really bold, ambitious vision and to rally people around it. But I just think I wouldn't underestimate that. I'm convinced to this day, and even the way that Wendy started to Teach for America in the beginning, a lot of people thought she did it the wrong way. Announcing her first year, we're going to have 500 teachers, we're going to have 5 districts, I'm 22 or 23 and nobody's ever heard of Teach for America, and they're going to be from the top schools in the country, by the way. So I honestly think without that would have been hard. She got splashed in the New York Times, people were listening, if anything, she was, crazy enough that it was interesting. So, and then I think once you're big, it's just everything's easier. We had so much trouble. One of the biggest challenges at Teach for America was placing teachers. Very few principals felt comfortable with our core members. They're right out of college, no formal training. And ironically enough, when we grew to 1,000, where we had 550-ish starting with us each year, first years, it was easier to place them. Literally, we were almost all done with them in July, versus when I came in, we had, I think, 80 to place a year prior, and 30 of them weren't placed by the first. So I just there's so many benefits to scale, and I think John's main point is right. You have to know how to do it, and it's actually tough to pull off, but if you do it right, I think it actually makes some things a lot easier.